Hi friends, so glad to be in your company as we explore more useful information inside this half-hour journey through the weekend edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Coming up, we'll hear about Jamaica's first genome sequencing machine, get health-wise on mosquito-borne diseases, and see how farmers can tap into a marketing network for their produce. It's another interesting mix of features worth viewing. So sit back and relax as it all unfolds right after this important message.
My name is Bruce Croxon. I'm the founder of a fund called Round 13 Capital that invests in Canadian technology companies. My ties to Jamaica go way back because my mother is actually from the island. She comes from the parish of St. Mary, and so some of my very earliest memories are of visiting the island. I think Jamaica is an incredibly special place to visit. It starts with the terrain. I mean, it's physically a beautiful island. I mean, you go from high mountains to some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, and you can get some amazing views, you get some amazing cultures, and you get some amazing greenery the further you get from the sea. What people don't know about Jamaica is that there is an incredible number of side trips and explorations that you can do. There's some incredible adventure to be had, whether that's hiking in the Blue Mountains or surfing on the North Coast. A lot of people don't associate Jamaica with surf. There's some good surf there. Jamaica is much more than tourist destinations. There's a whole island to be explored and probably more smiles per capita than any other country I've visited, so I've always felt very welcome there.
Jamaica's disease surveillance and research capacity has been boosted with the acquisition of a genome sequencing machine. This is an important tool for tackling existing or emerging disease threats. Keep watching to learn more.
There's a growing interest in Jamaica and the international community in genome analysis, that is, sequencing the total number of DNA in an organism. Such interest is sparked by the significant potential to find solutions to countless public health threats that emerge and re-emerge. In support of the advancement in health sciences, the government has invested in the acquisition of a genome sequencing machine for the country. It was handed over to the National Influenza Center located at the University Hospital of the West Indies in October 2021.
This investment is from the government of Jamaica to the University of the West Indies, which is under the government of Jamaica, though it has a charter. And it must be for always to deliver the priorities of the government of Jamaica. Clearly, the university has a research mandate. However, when the national priorities are identified and communicated, the government expects that the resources of the University of the West Indies, those that we have contributed directly, and those that the university, through its very substantial efforts, would have raised by themselves, should be directed to those nationally identified efforts.
This machine will assist local scientists analyze genome, which is the sum total of all deoxyribonucleic acid DNA sequence of an organism.
Comprehensive national surveillance of COVID-19 will require the adaptation and reinforcement of existing national systems where appropriate and scale up additional surveillance capacities as needed. Digital technologies for rapid reporting, contact tracing, and data management and analysis may support these capacities.
We must be strategic in our approach to building local capacity and resilience. It is a critical piece of equipment which will enable us to test for new coronavirus variants. The samples which have been previously sent to the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, will now be tested in Jamaica, dramatically increasing our response to the emergence of new variant strains. We will now have capacity to manage the endemic phase of the pandemic, because there are always now going to be new strains of SARS-CoV-2 emerging. We don't have to wait 6 weeks to know if it is here. So our policies and strategies can be informed much better than before. And so we will know what actions that need to be taken much earlier.
The National Influenza Center is the only laboratory in Jamaica with the capacity to diagnose and isolate highly infectious viruses. The government has for some time been bolstering the center's microbiology and microbial testing capacity with recent investments including a polymerase chain reaction PCR machine. These long-term investments will enable the country to respond effectively to the immediate needs as well as future threats.
New viruses and pathogens are being discovered and are emerging almost on a daily basis. And existing pathogens are becoming more resistant and they are changing over time. And so the capacity of the country has to be developed for us to be able to track and trace. So when we see new diseases emerging, when we see old diseases re-emerging, we need not just to be able to treat them, which is what the public understands, but that is 10% of the problem. 90% of the problem is to be able to almost predict what is coming because you have been studying it for a long period of time.
The newest investment, the genome sequencing machine, is a key driver to such studies, and local experts in the medical and scientific community are all enthused about the possibilities.
What we're seeing here is a new service supporting public health, a new service supporting clinical care, and a new service supporting research. UHII is now part of a global network of cutting-edge labs, and the sequencing service fits exactly into what we're trying to do. And what we're trying to do is to prepare for the next pandemic.
Local scientists will also be able to use genome sequencing to assist them in providing answers to fundamental questions about antimicrobial resistance, which is currently a big problem globally. It should also assist in finding solutions for the control of hospital infections. The machine was purchased at a cost of $40 million, financed by the Culture, Health, Arts, Science and Education Chase Fund.
The Chase Fund is proud to be the funding partner of this landmark project here in Jamaica. This piece of equipment is at the cutting edge of technology, and we at Chase, we believe in that. And it will make our country proud by the service it will provide, and on top of that, it will single out us as a country, and Jamaica will stand tall in this effort because of this effort.
To ensure the machine stays up and running, Chase is providing financing for maintenance and servicing for 3 years, as well as for training and technical support.
Small businesses like mine continue to serve the needs of people.
We all play a part in keeping the wheels of our economy turning, and we do so responsibly.
We are building forward
together.
Happy New Year to you all. We are grateful that you stayed with us another year, and we look forward to keeping you informed about the happenings out west this year. Today, we have a very special program lined up for you. We will be revisiting the parishes we serve in Western Jamaica to highlight our top stories for the year 2021. Stick around.
At the start of the year, selected schools across Jamaica reopened for face-to-face classes following an extended hiatus brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Salem Primary and Junior High School in Beeston Spring, Westmoreland was labeled by the Westmoreland Health Department as a model school in observing COVID-19 protocols, and the students were elated to be back in school.
It feels exciting, although we can't bundle up like we always did, but it's okay because I understand more in face-to-face class. And when we're in face-to-face class, we get better understanding of things.
Face-to-face, I'm gonna see my friends. I like face-to-face because I get to understand more and I be more comfortable at school.
Face-to-face classes were again closed shortly after due to a spike in COVID-19 cases. But the government soon rolled out its vaccination program, a signal that we were on the path to recovering stronger together.
Glad to be here today to be among the first set of persons to be inoculated. Well, I'm feeling all right. It was a seamless process, and I would encourage everyone else to come out and get vaccinated as soon as possible.
Doctors, nurses, community health aides and pharmacists were among the first group to be inoculated, and soon after, the vaccination program was expanded to include other categories of workers. As the vaccination numbers began to rise, we also saw an improvement in the number of economic activities. Chief among them was the return of cruise shipping to the island. Following a near 20-month hiatus, the coastal town of Falmouth, Trelawney, welcomed its first cruise ship in November. Carnival Corporation's Emerald Princess, with some 2,780 passengers and crew members, entered Jamaica's largest port, a clear signal to stakeholders and residents that a return to some semblance of normalcy was on the horizon. Stakeholders were elated.
We are happy to be receiving this ship after such a long time. So it's actually maybe 2 years, almost 2 years since the ship came here in our port. And we are happy that the life has finally been brought back, because as you will know, we are always a sleepy little town. And so we are happy for a ship coming in.
And while things began to improve on the economic side, state agencies ensured things were also improving on the social side. Youth were kept engaged and empowered, and communities were improved aesthetically. The Social Development Commission in Westmoreland launched its inaugural Young Educated Leaders Lead Program, YEL. The initiative, which sought to build leadership skills among the youth, was hailed as a success.
Personally, it helped me with my confidence. It helps me to move towards things, and I'm also planning to create a youth club in my community, so it's been a good experience so far. Yes, I would recommend a program like this to wider Jamaica, to occupy young males like myself in making progress and being productive.
In Flanker St. James, the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, through its Poverty Reduction Program, PRP, with funding from the European Union, EU, rehabilitated the Community Health Center at a cost of 47.3 million Jamaican dollars. More than 3,000 residents in Flanker and neighboring communities are expected to benefit from the health center, and for this, the residents continue to be grateful.
I'm just glad for this center now and the improvement that it will be to the community and other adjoining communities. This health center was here so long, and we needed the change. And now the change has come. I don't think we as residents, we are glad for it, and I hope all residents will facilitate it and use it wisely.
So yes, the year could be described as a roller coaster. But through it all, we are recovering and will continue to recover stronger together.
That's all for today. We hope you enjoy the program. As usual, thanks for joining us for Western Roundup, where we take you from the corners of St. Elizabeth to the hilly terrains of St. Anne. Remember to send your feedback to jismobe@jis.gov.jm. Again, Happy New Year. Do continue to stay safe.
All eyes are on COVID, but it's not the only threat to public health. We can never lose sight of the battle against mosquito-borne illnesses such as dengue. Today's HealthWise segment explores some of the simple things we can all do to reduce the mosquito population and prevent the spread of viruses transmitted by the vector.
Mosquitoes are undoubtedly annoying, with their irritating sound and stinging bites. But there are more compelling reasons we'd rather not have them around. Several species are carriers of diseases and a threat to human health. Of most significance to Jamaica is the Aedes aegypti mosquito, known to transmit dengue fever, chikungunya, yellow fever, and the Zika virus. Only female mosquitoes bite, doing so to get the blood they need for egg production. And therefore, only female mosquitoes transmit these viruses.
The Aedes aegypti mosquito is what we call a timid feeder. So she's easily disturbed when feeding. It means that in one night, she may feed on several persons before she takes her complete blood meal. Each time she feeds, she secretes that substance. And in the secretion of the substance, the pathogen is passed on. So in one night, one female Aedes aegypti mosquito is able to infect more than one person.
The female Aedes aegypti mosquito is a prolific breeder.
One female Aedes aegypti mosquito is able to lay up to 200 eggs each time she lays her eggs. So one mosquito can populate an entire area.
The lifespan of the mosquito is around 3 weeks, and the entire cycle from egg to adult can occur in as little as 7 to 8 days. Female mosquitoes are ready to mate within a few hours after reaching their adult stage, and males are usually ready within 24 hours.
This mosquito prefers cleaner waters. For the female mosquitoes, she will lay her eggs in water, and for the Aedes, it will be water which is in and around the household.
So while there are a number of things we can and should do to prevent being bitten, the most effective way to prevent the spread of diseases by these mosquitoes is to prevent their breeding.
The Aedes aegypti mosquito is a mosquito that breeds in a containerized environment. They do not breed in rivers and drains, but they breed in containers that can be found in and around where persons dwell. So come with us and let us show you some of those breeding sites. This is a typical dish drainer that we find in most homes. And under most dish drainer is a tray that collects the water that comes off the dishes. And believe it or not, we have found breeding in several homes in these dish drainers. Yes. You can see that we have water that has settled. If this water does not evaporate quickly, it can lend itself to the breeding of the Aedes aegypti mosquito. So you not only have to empty the dish drainer, but you have to scrub to remove those eggs. This is the typical saucer that we will find under a plant. The rain has reached into fallen, it has collected water, and right now it is steaming with the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Do you have some of these in your home? Aedes aegypti prefers water that is a little bit on the cleaner side, and it's found in a shaded environment. So what should we do with something like this? It's quite simple. You need to throw away the water. And if these containers are not being used, you have to keep them turned down so they're not able to collect water. If you have them under your plants, we ask that you bore holes in them so that it will not collect water. Do you have these in your homes? We find these in a lot of hotels and business places, and we ask those persons, check these bird baths or any ornamental things like these you have in your garden to ensure that they are not breeding the Aedes aegypti mosquito. There are things like this thrown down in person's backyard. Old equipment, old furniture, old fixtures that are taken from homes, especially during construction. These are also able to hold water. And if they're holding water and sit for a while in the environment, they will also breed mosquitoes. And so we have found breeding in wheelbarrows, in old refrigerator, in old sinks such as this one. And we ask persons, if you're throwing out these, please ensure that they are positioned in such a way that they will not collect water.
Many persons, when they do have their drums, most times drums do not have any covers. So there is a mesh cover which is so designed to replace the missing covers. It is lightweight, and what we do is just simply slip it over, and the mesh is so designed mosquitoes will not be able to go through this mesh to get to the water. So this is the ideal way. One of the benefits also of this mesh is that even when rain does fall, water will go right through it. This is a typical example where this we have is a plastic drum and we have a metal cover here which is not designed for this. Whilst in some practice the intent is good, there may be occasions in which it does not fit or sit properly, and as a result you still have openings where mosquitoes can go right through and breed.
The mosquito is breeding right there in some very small places right around where you live. What is the habit we want you to develop? Once every week, search for and destroy the breeding sites of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
What a way you're full of our roots and culture. That was in Jamaica 60. Jamaica 60? What a piece of news, Miss Matty. I feel like my heart going bust up.
Just in, the island of Jamaica is on the verge of celebrating its 60th year of independence.
I only we have to celebrate it now. They say the people them, you know, them come here, you know. But you see, when our people decide, say the other people them free paper, burn up. Them say if it's war, start it, whatever. We all collect medal panta for it, you know.
Medal.
Amount of tongue we give them, you know.
The celebrations are slated to begin on January 1st, 2022. Organized by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. We have more in this report.
On site and planning activities are ablaze. Persons are advised to download the Reggae Jamaica app to know what it pre. Activities for the Jamaica 60 celebration.
Yeah, download the app to get the updates then.
The food we eat is as much a factor in our physical and mental health as anything else. So, we treasure those who grow the crops that nurture our bodies and minds. For its part, government is helping many of these farmers find a market for their produce. The Agri-linkages exchange, Alex, is bridging the gap from their fields to our tables so they can reap the rewards of their labor and we can enjoy the fruits and veggies grown.
Many times, we have so many things that we can't sell. We have, because sometimes all the farmers goes out and plant Irish potatoes, and it's too much. So what we do, we just use the phone, same place in the field, get to them, and they try everything, and know before them, we only have spoilage. We can't sell. So no matter how it glut in the whole island, they find a way to know it.
Bye-bye farm produce glut. Alex is here to move farmers' produce onto the plates of visitors to our shores.
The Agri-linkages Exchange Center, good afternoon.
It's not my...
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Willis. How are you doing? Okay. So what do you have reaping now?
We have a portion of corn ready, you know.
Is that sweet corn? Okay, sir. Let me just add that to the database for you. How much corn are you reaping?
We have 12 dozen corn ready, you know.
What's the selling price? 120 per dozen?
So, you can look the buyer for me anytime you're ready. You hear, boss?
Another problem, Mr. Willis. I'll post the information for you, and once the market is available, I'll give you a call and let you know. All right, Mr. Willis, thanks for calling.
As easy as that, farmers are reaping economic benefits through tourism. The Agri-linkages Exchange is an electronic platform where buyers and sellers of agricultural produce meet. Currently, there are agro-brokers who manage the platform. They operate from the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, St. Andrew office. It's a collaboration between the Ministries of Tourism and Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries. The center has raked in more than $50 million in sales for approximately 400 farmers across the country.
This program is dedicated specifically to the farmers, and what we were trying to solve was the fact that a number of our hotel, especially our hotel purchasing personnel, had difficulty getting produce that was in season, out of season, or even where they were located. So you'll find that particular fruits that will be in abundance in the eastern end of the island never ever gets to the west, and vice versa. For example, mangoes. Mangoes are very abundant in the east, and again the west would love to have some of the fruits that we have in abundance at one place. So the Agri-linkages exchange platforms would have been a link to ensure that both buyers and sellers meet. At this point, we have 55 hotels on it. We have 7 agro-processors. We have about 5 retail operators, but the retail are really large personnel. And each day is another day in which persons are added.
I was at a production and marketing meeting in my community where we were discussing gluten, where we can unload our produce. So one of the Rwanda extension officer recommended us to Alex. I just get my phone, get registered, and that's it. Since Alex, we have more in demand than supply. It's been so good for us, trust me.
There are farmers who might not be technologically savvy to actually go on the system themselves, so they'll call into the center and ask, and these agro-brokers will be able to put them on the system.
On a daily basis, I would say we get from maybe 20 calls per day or so from farmers. A lot of the calls that we do get, surprisingly, are farmers who are new to agriculture. They are curious about what Alex is about. Persons are now realizing that technology, agriculture, and production can all mix.
We supply and deliver produce, fruits, vegetables to hotels and restaurants. It's about 10 hotels that we supply on a weekly basis. Hotels that we supply, it's from small to large hotels. We found out about the Alex Center through a farmer. It is a very good initiative.
On a daily basis, we probably make contact with 20-30 buyers on behalf of our farmers, and they themselves, the buyers do call the center. Buyers request varied amount of quantity of produce depending on what the usage is. If it's for agro-processing or export, the volumes will range from as small as a small agro-processor may need 80 pounds of sorrel or 100 pounds, 200 pounds, 300 pounds, but then you have an exporter who will need 10,000 pounds of sweet potato, 15,000 pounds of pumpkin, 20,000 pounds of other produce. So the volumes vary depending on the usage. We walk with the farmers and we stay with them until the transaction is completed, until they're paid, until the goods are delivered.
Our hotels are interested in buying local produce. There's really no substitute for the produce that we actually produce here. If you were to import any of our grown provision, it wouldn't taste the same. And therefore there's really no incentive for the hotels to be purchasing overseas. What we have not had from our local industry is exactly where it is and in what quantities. And Alex has been able to solve that mischief somewhat.
It's simple, man. Just get the phone or come down to the Rwanda where the office is, register with Alex, and that's it.
We are at the end of another trek through the pages of Jamaica Magazine for today. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for another show. Until then, you can keep watching this and other Jamaica Magazine programs on the JIS YouTube channel. Visit our website, jis.gov.jm. You can also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson, reminding you to protect yourself and others against COVID-19. Get vaccinated and maintain good hygiene practices.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.